we are going to talk environmental management system, which is our core topic, ISO 14000. In this, we are going to cover what is environment, what are the environmental aspects, what are the environmental issues related to industries, what are the categories of industries, what is our requirement in Pakistan, national environmental regulations, what are those regulations that apply on us, environmental monitoring, and then we will cover the clauses of ISO 14000 and steps for implementation and so on, right? Okay, what is environment? Just think. Keep your mics mute, but I'm just putting a question. Environment is surroundings. So this needs to be very clearly understood so that we have a good concept. Environment का मतलब क्या है? Environment का मतलब है surroundings in which the organization operate. So surroundings में तो टेबल भी आ जाएगी, चेयर भी आ जाएगी, फ्रिज भी आ जाएगा, टीवी भी आ जाएगा. No, it is an incomplete definition of environment. Environment means surroundings in which the organization operate includes land, water, air, flora, plantation, flowers, fauna, animals, human being, and their interaction. So these are 7 things: land, air, water, natural resources, human, flora and fauna, and their overall interaction. That is environment. And what is environmental aspect? Elements of an organization's activities, products, or services that can interact with the environment. What are those activities that are affecting these 7 things? Air, water, land, flora, fauna, human being, natural resources. So we need to identify. I'll give some examples in the coming slides. And we have to, through a formula, internationally defined formula, we have to determine the significance, which is more significant, which is more harmful, what are those activities that are harmful for our environment, right? So we will cover it. Environmental impact क्या होता है? Any change to the environment, whether adverse or beneficial, wholly or partially, resulting from organization's activity. So any activity, this will be very clear. Just bear it with me in the coming slides. What do we mean by impact? So any activity, like we are doing welding. Welding is creating fumes. It is affecting your air. Impact is air pollution. Human being, spark ho raha hai, affect ho raha hai, right? So I will cover with this some examples. Some significant environmental issues globally are depletion of ozone layer, global warming, air pollution, wastewater discharge, depletion of natural resources, use of chemicals and nuclear substances, or disposal of nuclear substances also, which is a very big issue these days. Who is the biggest polluter in the world? Anybody? America. By disposing of their nuclear wastes. They are creating, so as you see, there are climatic changes. This is the phenomena of global warming, that the ozone layer, which is from 15,000 feet to 35,000 feet. So that is a different phenomena. I'll not like to go, I'll divert from my own subject. So this is the global issue. Hamari industries mein, what are the issues in our industries? We need to look into it. We need to control it. And everybody can create an impact. Wastewater discharge. air emissions, noise, heat, safety measures, emergency preparedness, solid waste management, depletion of resources, energy usage, wastewater. If you have hazardous effluent, it goes into streams, it settles down in the sea, aquatic life से affect होती है, and many other things. There are many effects. So inshallah, very soon we will be launching a 3 days session on environmental management in which we will cover all these aspects separately. What are the regulations in Pakistan? You can see here on the view foil. As far as environmental management system is concerned, as far as environmental regulations in Pakistan are concerned, the first one is NEQS, National Environment Quality Standard. And then is PIPA, Pakistan Environmental Protection Act 1997. Then we have Factories Act 1934, in which there are various aspects related to wastes, hazardous waste, and other things are defined. Similarly, smart self-monitoring and reporting system. NEQS, what is NEQS? In NEQS, the requirements for wastewater discharge are defined. There are a total of 32 parameters that are covered in NEQS. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have 1 minute left for this session. The second session, you can log on to the message that we have already passed on to you, right? So after 1 minute, if the training goes off, you can rejoin. And since we have to cover the next, this module, ISO 14000. Similarly, air emissions, there are 16 parameters. Noise, 85 decibels. Wastewater, when we talk of wastewater, it covers pH, BOD, COD, TSS, TDS, grease and oil, heavy metals, right? So these are the parameters that have been defined by our government. It has been defined by WHO also. So our standard is aligned, hazardous waste, and so on, right? So first thing, clause 4.1, what is this? You must know about your organization. What are you doing? As far as environment is concerned, where are you generating waste? Where are you creating pollution and so on? And then need and expectation. Who is supposed to do what? As far as your environmental performance is concerned, you need to define. The organization shall determine the interested party that are relevant to the environmental management system, whether it is a contractor, your own employee, your vendor. So you need to identify and you need to determine needs and expectations so that it is very clear to them. You need to define the boundaries, scope, where it is applicable, the standard ISO 14000, which areas, which sections. Is it the whole organization or the part of organization? You need to identify it. And then environmental management system. What is environmental management system? In order to enhance the environmental performance, the organization shall establish, implement, and maintain and continually improve their environmental management system. In clause 5 is the leadership. As I said, the basic first principle of management, top management's commitment, leadership. How do you communicate to your staff, to your employees? So the top management commitment is of paramount importance. You need to identify your policy related to environment, that you will be committed to bring continual improvements, reduce pollution, Like in case of welding, what is the environmental aspect? Can you just see? Let's look at this on this slide. Just see here. Just have a look. You see, there's a table in which on the left-hand side, you see the activity. What are the possible aspects and what is the impact of these aspects? Like number one, welding. So what are the aspects? Aspect means the activities, the impact of these activities in the surroundings. Environmental aspect, emission of ferrous fumes. When you are doing welding, you have ferrous fumes, you have spark, you have metal bursts. And what is the impact of these emissions? Air pollution. Your air is polluted. The spark, this is harmful for the human naked eye. Metal bursts, solid waste. Your land, your floor is contaminated with the metal bursts, right? So these are the three impacts, and the aspects of this activity are given here. Similarly, grinding or drilling, again, emission of ferrous fumes if you are doing on the metal, spark, noise. Generator, emission of fumes, and the impact is air pollution. Noise, harmful for the human. Ill health, what do you mean? There is one thing called accident. Accident is a physical, you may have some injury or you may not have some injury, but ill health, which is not, you are not seeing. There's a person who is working with a naked eye on welding. The impacts are over time. He will lose his vision. Similarly, if a person is working in a high noise area, there is no immediate injury, but he will have ill health over a period of time, right? So this is the example. How do you do the rating of these aspects? In this case, on the left-hand side is the activity, and on the right-hand side, there are four columns: O, D, C, and R. O means chances of occurrence. D means chances of detection. C means severity of consequences. And if you put these numbers in a formula, you come up with the rating, environmental risk rating on the extreme right side, 28, 32, 32. So how do you do that? You see, if the chances of occurrence, if you know, whenever you do welding, there will be emissions, right? So the chances of occurrence are certain. Whenever you do welding, it will happen. So you give the maximum numbering there. Chances of detection, like you have a mechanism by which you can immediately get, there is a boiler, there's a stack emission, and you have online monitoring. Whenever there is high level of nitrogen oxide or sulfur oxide, you will get a beep, you will get a warning sign. So you can immediately control. So the chances of detection are more, the risk will be less. Severity, how harmful it is. Just look at it. So this is the formula. This is internationally defined formula for environmental risk assessment. O means chances of occurrence. D means chances of detection, and C is severity of consequences. If you put these numbers according to a table which I'm going to show you, you will get the risk rating of that activity. So this is the table for chances of occurrence. You will give 5 marks. So on the previous slide, if I was not audible, occurrence, this is the table for chances of occurrence, detectability, and severity of consequences. If there is a slight incident where there is no incident or no damage, you give a 0 rating. And if it is a severe impact, environmental impact, potential serious long-term harm to the ecosystem, they'll give 8 marks. And if it is irreversible and extensive damage caused due to matter of national environmental significance, 10 marks. So this is how you do your ratings. I will again once show you the activity, the aspect, category, and this is the table. This is the formula. This is the scoring for occurrence, chances of occurrence, detectability, detection, and severity of consequences, right? So this is how you calculate the significance of environmental aspects. Then you need to identify the objectives, compliance with the regulations. Based on the regulations, reduce adverse environmental impacts, recycle, reuse, environmental preferable purchase. You need to mention in your quarterly, 6-monthly, annual objectives. And the objectives must be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound so that you can achieve them. You can't just raise a slogan that we will be number 1 in environment in Pakistan. It is not achievable, not realistic, not measurable, not time-bound. Right? So the objectives should be realistic, time-bound, and measurable. This is the management program for achieving objective. Very useful thing. Whatever objective you develop, you make a management program. Like you say, our objective is to train 40% of our manpower on environmental performance by December 2024. It is realistic, time-bound, measurable, achievable, right? So based on that objective, you make this management program. What actions are you going to take? What resources are required to do this? Who is responsible? What is the target date for that? And so on, right? Clause 7 is about resources. The organization must provide resources and infrastructure and work environment to ensure that you comply with the requirements of this standard. Competence, training of people, identify their needs. Competence means experience, skill, training, and education. A person may not be very educated, but he's highly skilled. He may come in the category as a competence, right? There are many examples in the day-to-day life, but time doesn't allow that. I want to focus on the coming new foils. Identify the training needs, provide them training, evaluate training effectiveness, and maintain the records. This is the requirement of this standard, right? Training related to what? Right now we are talking of environment. What are the safety precautions that you have to take? How do you handle your aspects? How do you take control of these things? How do you reduce pollution? Right? So awareness about environmental policy, objective, environmental aspects, compliance requirements, role of EMS, requirements for organization. You need to create awareness on these things. Communication. You must have a very clear communication channel by which you ensure that the information travels from top to bottom and from bottom to top. So these are various means of communication: inter-office notes, memos, compliance boards, notices, meetings, trainings, and electronic media, and so on. You must have a documented control of documented information, right? So this is a very strong clause, clause 7.5. How do you ensure that whatever SOPs, work instructions, they are properly controlled, and the current versions are available to the concerned persons. Clause 8 is operational planning and control. This means that you establish your system through work instructions and SOPs and implement them according to the defined criteria. Emergency preparedness and response. You must have a procedure to ensure that any emergency is handled in an appropriate manner. You must have emergency response teams, and you must practice also. This is the one I would like to get your attention on this. This is safety and environmental layout. On the left-hand side is the layout of an organization. This is an industry where you have different sections, and you define that here there is a high level of noise or heat or wastewater, and on the right-hand side are the symbols. Now with this, you can really have a better operational control as far as your environmental performance is concerned, right? So just have a look. First aid, fire. This is the fire extinguisher, bucket, hydrant point, drainage system, emergency exit, assembly area, evacuation route, plantation. So all this is shown in this is called, what do we call it? Safety and environmental layout. Every organization must have this if you are going for environmental management system. This is very important. This will have a better operational control on the activities. You will exactly come to know what is happening where. Where do you have wastewater discharge? Where you have air emissions, right? So this is a very useful thing which an organization must have. 9 clause, determine the frequency of evaluation. When are you going to do your audits, right? And when we talk of audit, this is the audit cycle that you plan the audit, execute them, report them, and carry out corrective action and do the follow-ups. So if you have implemented a system, you need to check the health and state of your system. How do you check it? Through these audits. And you must have trained auditors within your organization. Then management review meetings are very useful, which are to be headed by the top management, by the CEOs or directors. And the good practice is that you have management review meetings on quarterly basis, in which you review the effectiveness of your environmental management system. Look at the complaints, the audit results, and improve upon your system based on the outcome of these management review meetings. These are very useful. Last is improvement. What are the ways and means by which you can improve your system, right? Identify non-conformances, take corrective actions, find out the root cause analysis, and take corrective action and review the effectiveness. So these are the 5 areas by which you can improve your system: by conducting audits, and based on these audits, take corrective actions and preventive measures also. Management reviews, objectives, analysis of data. If you find out that there is a problem in some area, you immediately rectify, take a corrective action. But on the basis of that, you take preventive actions in other areas. Like, for example, you find out that a person standing in front of electric panel, there was a spark and he got an electric shock, but there was no harm. So first thing is that you immediately recover that person and rectify the issue. And then you take preventive actions in other areas, that you put rubber mats underneath in those areas where there are other electric panels, right? So we are left with another 5 minutes. So these are the various areas of improvement where an organization can get improvement. As far as implementation is concerned, as said in the beginning, number one, backbone, baseline assessment. If you want to go for an environmental management system, the first thing is that you carry out the baseline assessment, identify aspects, do the significance, and this must be done by some trained, experienced professionals. Then develop your system, implement them, and then go for the certification, right? For successful implementation of ISO 14000, top management must be committed and must be convinced of its true value. And the top management must demonstrate to others through example, enthusiasm, visibility, right? And these are some of the benefits of implementing ISO 14,000, 40,000. Compliance with regulations, conformance to customer requirements, greater marketability, right? Better workplace, improved image, improved management confidence, and above all, the satisfaction of your employees that they are working in an environment-friendly organization. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having you all here. We will be having another sessions also. We have sessions on every Saturday. And with this, I come to an end. And now I will open the house for questions. Before I open the house for questions, I would request everyone to please subscribe and like our Facebook so that you get updated information about trainings, our get-togethers, our seminars, our workshops. We do a lot of activities, and LinkedIn also. So this is just you can take a snap. You can join our LinkedIn, you can join our Facebook so that we have a two-way traffic. We would love to answer your questions. I'll just open up the chat box also. Yes, anybody having questions? So all these questions in the chat box, we will reply you. We can send you this training soft copy. We can keep it at a central place and you can just pick it up, right? The other is, will we get yes, the participant who, okay. And all the participants who are here will also get the digital certificate also. What about the certificate? Okay. So I think I've replied the questions of most of the people who are mentioned here. How can we implement standard in Pakistan? Where can we see? Okay. Share waste management team. A person, Hassan Kaleem, he says, kindly share waste management theme in context of ISO 49. So as far as waste management is concerned, the first thing is you need to identify where the waste is. And then you segregate these wastes, right? So it depends on what type of waste it is. So in waste, the most important thing is segregation of waste, right? and how you segregate, how you record these waste, and how you dispose of these wastes. Waste can be of different types. It can be pesticide, it can be hazardous, it can be paper waste. So all these needs to be categorized and handled accordingly. Kindly issue certificate. Okay. So I think all the questions here in the chat box, it would be good to QR code to scan one all linked. Okay. Yes, very good. Akhtar Ali, very good suggestion. And I will tell my social media team, Ghulam Mustafa, it would be good if you make QR code to scan once for all linked social media accounts anyhow. Zabardast, excellent. So please note down my social media team. We must have a QR code so that they can just take a picture and they can scan it. Thank you very much for the nice discussion. You said three standards are aligned. So should we go for IMS? Yes, you should go for IMS. Numan Ashraf. You should go for IMS. Don't go for 9,000 or 14,000. Go for integrated management. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, we are available. You have our contact, you have our email, you have our mobile. I have seen all the questions and queries in the chat box, and most of them had similar, and I have replied. Few lines on. Please say few lines on IMS, if both safety and quality. Okay. Okay, Umair Naeem says some few lines about IMS. Okay, as I said, now internationally speaking, so everywhere it is the integrated management. It is not quality management. It is not environmental management. It is not occupational. It is integrated management. So we have to adjust accordingly. We have to prepare ourselves. By the way, recently you will all be getting some requirements from SCCP, Security Exchange Commission of Pakistan. In fact, they have already sent you the letters on what you call, I'm just forgetting, registered with SCCP are to go for ESG, environmental compliance, social compliance, and governance, right? So we are working on that also, and we provide consultancy for that also. Actually, into industry, safety and quality are two different. Okay, there. So you asked that since you have two different departments, quality is separate and safety is separate. So how do you combine that? So that is what you see. You have to define in an organization according to the size of an organization. You must have a separate compliance department, compliance section, or compliance cell, which should integrate both quality, safety, and environment. So I'm left with 1 minute. So thank you very much, everybody. Any further questions, please.